Good day, Air Acolytes, and welcome back to Breaking Wind, a Last Airbender podcast. I'm your host, Jason Roy Gaston, and the man to my side, my friend, my ally, my light, my everything, VHS Jace. Hello, Hotman.
Oh, hello. I'm kind of struck at that generosity, those nice words. I
Didn't
think
mean
the
a
drugs
word
are
of it.
working. The drugs are working.
Speaking of drugs, if you did want something to make you feel good, this is not the place for it, because this is an episode that is basically 30 minutes of the most depressing events ever. And this is Zuko Alone, Chapter 7 of Season 2. And I don't mean that as a negative.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
I don't mean that as a negative. I just mean that if you're expecting, Goofy Aang and wisecracking Toph and silly Sokka, they're not in this episode. What we do have, and what we do have a lot of, is Zuko. And he's alone. He's he's alone.
The man with no name.
Yes.
He's Clint Eastwood.
He he basically is. He's Clint.
This is absolutely a bit of spaghetti western influence here for sure.
Just a smidge, but yeah, he's Flint and Steel Eastwood right here. That was terrible. That was like a Flintstones level joke. We open, surprisingly enough, Zuko's alone. He's riding around in the backcountry of the Earth Kingdom. Incidentally, do you see that rock there with the square hole in the middle?
It looks very familiar, Jace.
It does look very familiar, but I want you to remember it. I want you to store it in your brain.
Okay.
Because this site that Zuko's going through is quite historically significant in the Avatar universe. And I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to say how it is. But what I will tell you is we don't learn what is significant about this site until the spin-off series.
Oh, wow.
So this is something where they
connective tissue. Is it
wow. They are laying down some connective tissues right here. And I like to think that they knew exactly what they were doing when they whenever they set up this location. But yeah, a very historically significant thing happens here. And we're talking like 10,000 years before the events of this episode. And we see that happen. And it's honestly one of the best parts of The Legend of Korra. And somebody on Reddit was like, somebody on Reddit was like, this place looks really familiar. And then they looked at Zuko alone. They're like, oh, it's the same place. So,
I thought it looked familiar. It gave me the a mushu, like in the building of that, they had round with the square. That shape looked, but no, I didn't know what obviously you're talking about now. We'll find that out in 2026 when we get to the series.
Well, quite honestly,
no, we'll get there before the end of the year. All right.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see. We'll see. So
Zuko,
no
rush.
Zuko is I can't remember if I said this or not. Zuko is alone. He has ditched his uncle. He is riding solo, and he is hungry. He's starving because he hasn't eaten. Obviously, we do get this bit where he sees a man with food and he takes his sword out and he's getting ready to go steal it. But then he sees that the man has got his pregnant wife with him and he's making sure she's eating. And Zuko puts his sword back up, showing you Zuko has his honor, despite the fact he's been robbing people. Yeah. Despite the fact he's been robbing people, he does still have that moral center. And we see later in the episode how he's had that moral center for a very long time. He comes into town and he runs afoul of the local Earth Kingdom army, who are basically a bunch of hired thugs by this point.
Yeah.
And and he basically sees a kid throw an egg at them and doesn't say anything, doesn't rat the kid out, almost gets into a fight because of it. But the kid says, hey, thanks, mister, for not ratting me out. Come live with me and my family. Because that happens a lot in the Earth Kingdom. It's the hospitality of the culture.
They're nice people.
They are. We also get flashbacks of Zuko as a little boy and his mother, who we have not met in this series yet.
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah.
Exactly. She is a very regal, very loving figure, but flawed because she lets a lot of things slide that she probably shouldn't have because she has a daughter that, quite frankly, needed a switch taken to her behind a couple of times, if you want to know my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh,
At one stage, the mum goes, "What is wrong with that child?" But, I don't know, Mum. What is wrong with that child?
Almost like she's not getting any discipline. Mother, today I dissected a commoner out in the field, and then I killed his dog with a hammer. Now, Azula, that was naughty. Here, take this present and go to your room. Yes, Mother, I will destroy you. Baby Azula is basically Stewie from Family Guy.
I
said what I said.
Like evil,
yes.
evil,
like evil first and second season Stewie back whenever he just wanted to kill Lois before he just became, a gay joke. Yeah, that's evil.
Yeah,
that is Azula, evil Azula. So Azula, mean. Mommy loves you. Why don't you go to hell, foul woman?
So mean.
Totally mean. Azula, why don't you give your mother a hug? Why don't you die of a heart attack?
Well, then, so, you said early on there are no redeeming features for that character, and what are we 7 episodes in season 2? I'm like, yeah, I have not seen not even an iota of redeeming feature in that girl.
All I can say is I don't know. I guess it's just the way the series is written. Is that everyone seems to have a redeeming feature, and even in The Legend of Korra, even the bad guys, if you look at what they want, part of you says, they're kind of right. Azula is just a crazy, evil, horrible human being with no redeemable features. And if you're expecting like one day for her to show mercy or to be genuine or to be vulnerable, oh, honey, no. She's crazy all the way through, and she's evil all the way through. I'm just going to save you from wondering when it's going to happen. Just enjoy the evil roller coaster, all right? Because it takes some twists and turns and spins you upside down and then drops you because she cut the seatbelts.
Well, we need her in this. I mean, we need her at this point because this is a very redemptive episode for Zuko, isn't it? Maybe not redemptive for his as a character, but for the audience, we see redemptive like features in him.
We're definitely seeing Zuko's journey at this point. It's a journey that we don't know where the destination is. And I'm going to say it's going to take the destination is not where you think it's going to be. Yeah. So it's
I wouldn't have expected them to go in this direction at this point in the series, but I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Zuko is, I say this a lot because there are so many great characters on the show, but Zuko is one of the most fascinating because he goes on such an incredible journey. And considering that he was basically in the first episode, I want to kill a 12-year-old boy. That's quite an accomplishment.
Well, what we're discovering is he's had a life full of trauma.
He has.
What does that do to somebody? Of course he became that.
Up.
Yeah, of course you became the Zuko we saw in episode 1.
Yeah. And he is a relative of Azula is just going to get messed up. That's just it.
Yeah.
Let's move on because at this point, Zuko has been he's been adopted by a 5-year-old boy who brings him home as you would any kind of stray that you would find out in the field. And Zuko does work for them out on the farm in exchange for food and a place to stay. And he starts to form a bond with this boy, especially after the boy takes these knives from Zuko and tries to use them. And Zuko says, hey, you're using those wrong. Let me give you some pointers. You see that Zuko has got some great mentor qualities about him. And of course he would because, Iroh is his uncle. Iroh is a mentor. Eventually Zuko, I think, would grow to be a mentor. Makes perfect sense. But Zuko decides to leave because he's getting close to the family and he kind of wants to stay away. And so he gives his knives to the boy because that's what a responsible adult does, is they give sharp weapons to small children. And he rides away on his, what is that, an emu? A horse emu?
I don't know what it is, but it's terrifying. I don't like either.
It is terrifying. We get some more stuff with Zuko's mom, particularly the day that Iroh's son is killed.
Yeah, wow.
Which I think it's an interesting choice because they don't have Iroh in the episode except for that one scene where he's writing a letter, and that's before he
Yeah.
loses his son, which I thought was
Yeah,
great. I hope you see
yeah.
it before we burn the whole place down. And then all the kids are laughing. Genocide is funny.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Iroh is a war criminal.
Yeah, he is.
He is. All of them are war criminals in some way or
Yeah.
another. So yeah, needless to say, things are not going well in the past or in the present because the mama shows up and says, "Hey, somehow our little boy got his hand on some swords. I don't know how that happened." And he challenged the Earthbenders thugs, and yeah, they kidnapped him. So thanks. Can you come fix your mess? And Zuko's like, "Fine, I'll come fix your mess." And so he goes and he takes on the Earthbenders. The problem is he can't blow his cover because he can't let everybody know who he is. Because right now he's ashamed of who he is. Meanwhile, back in the past, Ozai has launched a scheme to convince the current Fire Lord, Azulon, whom Azula is named after, to name him his heir so that he can become Fire Lord next. Azulon is furious with even the mere suggestion that this happens, and he's getting ready to bake Ozai like a potato. But something goes wrong. And I actually think that this is one of the most... I think that this is terrific storytelling without telling the audience what's going on. Because it explains why Zuko's mother left. If you really think about it, Azula always lies unless she's telling the truth. And what does she say to Zuko? Grandfather was furious and said, "You should feel the same sorrow that Iroh feels by losing your firstborn son." And Zuko keeps saying, "You're lying, you're lying, you're lying." No, she wasn't. Zuko's grandfather condemned him to death. The only way that Zuko's mother could save her son was to put herself in his place.
Yeah.
And so she came to say goodbye. Now, there's some canon comic books that explains exactly what happened to her. She did not like get executed or anything. She did disappear though. That was part of the bargain, was that she disappeared to save Zuko.
It's just like it's a dollop of Shakespeare and Greek tragedy, and it's epic in its theme.
Well, the fact that they didn't feel the need to just explain it, they respected the audience and said, "You know what? They can figure this out, and if they don't, they'll figure it out later." I didn't figure it out until I'd seen this episode a couple of times, and I was like, "Oh no."
I guess that I just thought she'd just done a runner. I didn't think, because if she died, like, we would have seen that death. So I thought, she disappeared for a reason. And yeah, but the way you just put it there absolutely added all the layers.
Well, I don't know. We never saw this death, but I think we all know what happened. Anyway, moving on, however, her last words to him was something along the lines of, "Never be ashamed of who you are." And right there, boom, firebending, baby. I am Zuko. I am the prince of the Fire Nation. I am the son of Ozai. I am the daughter of the sacred chalice of Reeks and heir to the holy rings of Beta Z. And he just
I'm Russell Crowe in Gladiator.
He roasts people. Your mama's so fat that she walked in front of the TV and I missed the entire second season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. That kind of stuff. Yeah, he just goes ham on them. Unfortunately, the young boy that he became close to now hates him because he's a firebender, and it's very Shakespearean and very tragic.
Yeah, and it's a reality of like his legacy. Like he has to accept that is the way his life's going to be. There's been too much death at the hands of those people to expect that people will go, "Oh well, everything's okay now. We forgive you."
It's all good, Zuko. We love you now. No, it's not how it works.
Not going to happen. Yeah,
not how it works.
This is an excellent episode, Jason. This is an excellent episode. I love this episode.
speaking of excellence, we got the final scene because it turns out that Azulon died. And right before he died, he named Ozai as his heir, which is not suspicious at all.
Just good timing. Just good timing.
Yeah, it was just good timing, you know. I will never name you as my heir. Now be my heir. Oh, no, I died. Yeah, you know, I'm sure that happened.
I completely believe all that.
Ozai sitting there with an acid-filled flower going, come on, name me as your heir. So, yeah, basically Ozai is a usurper. Zuko was never supposed to be the prince, but he is now, and we end the episode just as we began it. Zuko is alone.
You know what's really great about this episode too is the fact that now I understand why he treated his son so awfully. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you are not meant to be here. You are not.
Yeah.
So, and it's this weird, it's kind of a relatable family dynamic they have, where the daughter is like the father and the son is like the mother. And you find in those family situations, and I can talk for one of them, my daughter's very much like me. My son's very much like his mother. And I love that because it's very relatable, especially to me anyway. Yeah, the fact that he's been treated like trash basically his whole childhood. I mean, he's lucky he made it alive. I'm shocked that Lord Ozai didn't kill him at some point.
I'm just thinking about what you said about your children. All of my children are exactly like me, and they're just freaking awesome. They're all awesome. No, this episode starts out. This episode starts out recounting what Zuko said to Aang in the ice cave about my sister had it easy, and I had to fight for everything that I got.
Yeah.
And you see that here because Azula was a prodigy. She took to firebending easily. Zuko had to fight for it. He had to fight for his station. He had to fight for everything. And even whenever he fought for something and got it, it seemed like he had to fight to keep it. And we're seeing it here as well. He fought to get a sense of self. And just as soon as he got it, circumstances made him ashamed of himself again.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
Zuko's a fighter, but eventually he's a fighter who's going to break.
I mean, like, his empathy is probably his weakness in that family dynamic. Let's be honest with you.
It really is.
Like, because she ain't got no empathy, and he certainly doesn't, Lord Ozai. So the fact of the matter is that his mother probably did a disservice to him by nurturing him, by giving him that empathy, because it didn't really give him the skills to survive that family.
Only in the
Everybody's
family can that be seen as a negative. Oh, no, you're too loving, Zuko. Quick, bury your baby sister in the crib. Do it now. She's crazy. I tried to breastfeed her, and now I have blisters all around the nip. Do you need to get that, by the way? That could be Nickelodeon saying, "Stop talking about this show."
It is work related, but we can do it after the.
Stop talking about Zuko's mom's nips.
No, a wonderful episode. I think it was great. I like this one off. I think the show has earned it at this point that we can have a sole character focus without having to have Aang and the guys there. I love them to death, but I always think it's kind of cool when the show is able to do it and not really miss a beat. It didn't feel weird to me that we didn't get Aang and that in the episode.
I agree. I think it's one of the strengths of this series is that they can do an episode without any of the mainstays. And it's very strong because Zuko's a very strong character. So yeah, good. I love filler episodes. I miss filler episodes.
I don't think this is a filler. I think this is. I think you're diminishing it by calling it filler, dude.
Well, I mean, filler in that. I think filler in that it is a character journey.
Yeah,
it doesn't really further the plot overall, but it is a character episode, and it's a great character episode. I'm not saying skip it. By no means, do not skip Zuko alone. I'm just saying a filler episode in that whenever TV shows had time to breathe like this, and I wish they had.
I think this episode builds muscle.
Yes,
that?
I think that's fair. Yes. Yeah. So that is Zuko alone. And next week, we have got Aang and the gang, and they're back in an episode called The Chase. It is episode 8 of season 2. Believe it or not, we're actually nearing the halfway point of season 2. So,
that's nuts.
I know, because I said let's do one episode at a time instead of 2, so we can drag it out a little bit more. And guys, still seems like it's just whooshing on by.
Whooshing on by. But that's evidence of a fantastic series.
Them's the breaks, kids. Them's the breaks.
We've been really lucky. Been really lucky to be obviously working with you. We get to. I've been rediscovering discovering for the first time some amazing animated series. And what I love about them too is the shows that you're showing me is it's giving me depth in entertainment that I think live action fails at sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And animation's just got this way. Well, the shows that I've been watching have their way about it where I don't know what it is. They're just more braver and bolder with their storytelling. Between this and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power and what we're slowly starting to uncover with Gargoyles and X-Men 97. Man, I don't know. I think I've now become I'm more keen to watch animated shows now than ever before in my life. Just because
I have always preferred animation. And I don't know, maybe that's why I still look so youthful and vibrant, is that I've just never grown up. Fun fact, Jace is actually 20 years younger than me.
Yeah, it's true.
That man is 26 years old.
All right, you try to deal with the emus out the front, all right? There's drop bears in the backyard. There are spiders that literally could pick me up and throw me across the room. You try staying looking youthful, buddy. Not going to happen.
We have rattlesnakes.
Yeah,
you go outside. They go outside. They pick up maracas and go. And I'm just like, how are you holding those? And they're like, I don't know. I'm crazy. I don't know why he's got that accent.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a bit off like region, isn't it? It's a bit off region.
It's just a little off region. You got any grapes? What do you need grapes for? I don't know. I'm crazy. Next week, we're going to be looking at an episode called The Chase as the kids are pursued relentlessly by a mysterious machine. Their exhaustion puts them at each other's throats.
Oh, trouble in the home.
Yeah, so my money's on Toph. I think Toph's going to freaking kill them all.
Great intro. Here's a great intro. Yeah, actually, the only thing lacking from this episode was probably her, who was such a little powerhouse. So I'm really keen to seeing her moving forward now.
That is the one thing about this episode that bugged me, was that it came right after they introduced Toph. So it's like, oh, we got Toph. Look at this wonderful character. Now we're taking her away for a week.
Yeah.
But that's okay. She'll be back next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you feel so inclined, please look at the video description below. Check out our Patreon. You can join for as little as $5 a week. And believe me, the clout that you get from sponsoring us two idiots is priceless. So please consider joining us. And, of course, join us next week for another exciting edition of Breaking Wind, a Last Avatar podcast. Or join us on Gargoyles Jalapeno. Or join us on what are the other shows we're doing? Oh, the VHS Vault. And of course, we're one of these days you're going to see the return of Double X-Men, Double XL Men.
Won't be too far away.
Soon. It's going to happen soon. We just put it on a little bit of a hiatus. It's fine.
Yeah, it's coming very, very soon. And I'll tell you what, in the meantime, though, you can watch an excellent new video that Jason put up this week called Saturday Morning Cartoon. It is so good, guys. It's
Saturday
awesome.
And His Amazing Friends. Yes.
Saturday and His Amazing Friends. Maybe I'll get the title right. But it's really great.
It's a great show. I can't remember what it's called or what it's about, but it's a great show. Yes, please watch it because I worked my tail feathers off on that show.
He did. And it's funny and it's informative. And it's great because I'm not in it. So I didn't have to do anything.
Yes.
And I can just
I didn't have to fumigate the room or anything. It was fantastic.
Nothing like that. But go check that out because it's a fantastic episode. And hopefully if you guys support it enough, you'll get more.
Oh, I'm going to do more. I'm going to do at least one more. And then if you jerks don't watch it, you can just forget it. How about that? All right. So that's this edition of Breaking Wind. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you later. Love you.
Ooh.
Do you think that love you was a little too strong?
A little bit, a little bit.
Okay.
May want to take them out to dinner first.
I can't afford to take all 5 of our regular viewers to dinner.
Not even Taco Bell? That shit is delicious.
It really is. Put a little bit of that hot ghost pepper sauce on it, and you'll